App. Number one for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set.
Just call me Swanny.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle once again. It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to us on incredible radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400 in the Midlands and around the world. On the iHeartRadio app and podcasted. That's right. So you can get your hands on it, doggone it, anytime, any place, anywhere that you like. Again, we continue to redecorate, navigate, and situate the studio. And I am thankful for each and every one of you being a part of the program. Let us know how we look. Let us know how we sound. Good news coming. Getting a new camera soon. And also going to be getting a new computer. So I think that'll help set things off just a little bit nicer. And again, the podcast of the show are up. Yesterday's episode, the humiliated edition. If you didn't hear that, go find the YouTube video of it and make sure you subscribe. I mean, if you're watching the show right now, you see the little scroll at the bottom. Head over to youtube.com and subscribe to our channel. Our goal to get to 1,000 subscribers by the middle of the college football season. I'd like to get there sooner rather than later. We have certainly grown immensely over the past month since we've been doing the show with this new medium of going on YouTube. I got away from YouTube for a while, but now I am back, and I am glad to be back. Again, 447 some odd subscribers at this point, up nearly 200 subscribers since we started asking those of you that watch this show to step up and hit that subscribe button and help us grow. Thunderstorms in the Midlands today. I am hopeful, crossing the fingers, that we will be good to go as it pertains to the weather conditions. As you all are aware, if you've been around this program long enough, you know that every once in a while, a little rain must fall. And sometimes that rain comes along with heavy showers and thunderstorms in the Midlands. Possible power outages. We'll try to be here with you the entire 2 hours if we can. You can also participate and be a part of the program just by texting us, 803-450-0086. Swanny, your graphic says that there's a phone number as well. Well, scratch that and reverse it, because it is also 803-450-0086. That's the way you can call the show and be a part of what we do here on the Bounce Back edition of the program. And that's really what this week is about in a lot of respects. Not necessarily for you as Clemson Tiger fans, because, again, this Clemson Tiger team facing off against SC State, look, if Clemson wants to hang half 100 by halftime, they can, they might, and if they want to hit 70, they could and potentially could. But it's really, I think, for most of you, the opportunity to sort of get back to good. And what I mean by that is, last weekend's game against Georgia was an old school Southern slobber knocker, as I called it earlier this week. And the fact remains that those two teams were equally as good on the gridiron. And I don't want to call it deflected, because that I don't think is the right terminology for what I've done. But I have been open and honest and candid about the fact that, look, that game goes the other way, 10-3 Clemson. And you might feel a lot differently about this team for all the naysayers out there. That's a tough, hard-fought loss and or win for whoever came out on top, and one team had to. Now, the hurdle that you face, no team has ever lost their season opener and made it back into the college football playoff, which seems absurd in a lot of respects, and perhaps this year it'll be the same for Clemson. But at this point, You're ranked 6th in the country. A whole lot of football left to play, but it begins, and you get a chance to bounce back this weekend against SC State up in Tiger Town. 803-450-0086 text line, phone line. Our buddy Jake's hanging out with us today. Says, been a while, Swanny. Interested to hear your take, bro. Appreciate you, Jake. Thank you, man, for being a part of the program. And guess what? Boom, he's in the house for subscribing. You know what, Jake? I'm giving penalties to people that share the show, and I'm definitely giving penalties to people that subscribe to the show. I mean, how could you listen to a bald-headed man on radio? The BMOR says, hey, you go subscribe, and then you do it? What's next, Jake? What's next? Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah. Again, DJ, not overly sharp. Dabo Swanny went through yesterday during his Tuesday press conference and kind of walked through some plays here and there very early in the game. They had a great play set up where they sort of faked a screen to who was that coming on that? Justin Ross, I think. Faked the screen to Justin Ross, and then you had Will Shipley sliding out of the backfield. That play, I think, personally, I think that DJ made the wrong read. Did he have a man open in Davis Allen? Yes, 84, running a little slant across the middle, but it was batted down at the line of scrimmage. If he holds that ball a split second more, perhaps out of his peripheral vision, he would have seen Will Shipley running into the open and potentially running still. I mean, that's how open he may have been on that play. But, all of those moments, all of the things that went wrong for Clemson were probably just a microcosm of the fact that, again, I said all along, season openers are strange. And what you didn't have for Clemson or Georgia was tremendously sloppy ball handling. I mean, that wasn't something that really came into play. You did see Georgia put the ball on the ground a couple of times, but for the most part, the two teams were fairly crisp in the possession of the football. But again, Clemson's offensive line, some of the routes that were run, DJ as well, sort of a part of the issue, if you will. And I think that a lot of Clemson Tiger fans at this point, I honestly believe a lot of Clemson Tiger fans at this point have had a few days to decompress and are willing to now say, okay, you know what, Swanny? I think you're probably right on this. Lots of football left, and that you don't have to be sweating and nervous about what's going to happen with your Clemson Tigers moving forward. Just let it play out. Let them play the games. And you know what? If they get beaten another ball game, did they really deserve to be in the college football playoff? I mean, that's the thing you really have to ask yourself. Like at this point, if they get beaten another ball game, did they really deserve to be in the college football playoff? The answer to that question is an absolute no. And again, look, I understand how this works. The top 4 teams need to be in. Whether, and this is the argument that the SEC fans will throw out sometimes. Well, if it's the top 4, it could be a 2-loss SEC club. I agree. I want the top 4 teams. But I also like the fact that we have tended to have teams that are in the college football playoff that have 1 or no losses heading in. I wouldn't be a huge fan of a 2-loss team. I wouldn't be a fan of a 2-loss Clemson team. I wouldn't be a fan of a 2-loss Alabama team. I wouldn't be a fan of a 2-loss Green Bay Packer team going into the college football playoff. To me, there's something beautiful about the undefeated. There's something grand about the 1 loss. But if you get beat twice in the regular season, I don't think you really deserve to be there, quite frankly, in a 4-team scenario. Now, if we expand it out, you guys are going to say, Swanny, you're the guy. You're the guy that's all for college football playoff expansion. But now you're telling me you don't want to see 2-loss teams in? No. With a bigger playoff, a bigger pool, I can deal with that because I can justify that a 2-loss team might still be one of the top 12 or one of the top 16 teams in the country. And while you might come arguing in one hand that a 2-loss team might still be one of the best 4 teams in the country, I will counter that offer with, don't think so. Not in this era. You can't lose 2 out of your 12 games, in my opinion, or 13 if you're in a conference championship game in this scenario and still be in that top 4. And so with all that on the table, if Clemson loses another game anyway, do you really feel like they deserve to be in the college football playoff? I would say no. And if they run the table all the way out, again, that perception sitting there at number 6 for me certainly would be that they got a great chance to be in the top 4 because of the conversations that will surround them. Plus, I think Clemson has this little advantage in their back pocket to a degree, and that is, can you progressively look better week by week? And you'll say, well, competition, Swanny, versus the way Georgia looks progressively week by week. You might say competition, Swanny, but either way, if you appear to be getting better week by week, if you appear that you are becoming, I guess, more efficient, more effective, if you start to show that both offensively and hold up the end of your bargain defensively, then at the end of the year, even with a loss to Georgia, a narrow defeat might be judged differently, especially if Georgia goes into some games against SEC opponents and gives up boatloads of points and looks like their defense isn't what it was in week 1, and Clemson's defense maintains and the Tiger offense explodes. And again, who they're playing is a big deal. I don't deny that fact. But you do have a game coming up against South Carolina for Georgia and a game against the Gamecocks at the end of the season for Clemson that could become some semblance of a measuring stick, perhaps. And while you can't get back what you lost on the field in Charlotte, man to man, standing across the line from the Dogs, you can't get that 10-3 loss back. What can happen is that the perception of who you are later in the year, even if you're still, quote, behind Georgia in the polls, it might be, you know what? We got to give this Clemson team credit, because as good as Georgia is, maybe Clemson's the second best team in the country, and maybe they still just need to be in the mix. Or maybe Georgia loses the SEC championship, but you still end up being in the top 4 because the pundits and those individuals on the college football playoff committee judge Clemson as worthy of a top 4 spot. That's all that has to happen. You know, we talk a lot about the conference championships. We talk about having to be a conference champion. But you know what the reality is that when those individuals sit down in Grapevine, Texas, when they start crunching the numbers and watching the tape and talking about who they believe are the top 4 teams in all of the land, that's all you have to be. And the bounce back towards that goal begins this weekend against the SC State Bulldogs up in Tiger Town. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Kyle says, Swanny, my birthday is coming up. Can you send me a tiger head with your signature? Buddy, I'll tell you what, man. If I had to send out these tiger heads to everybody, I'd be a broke dude. I'd be a broke dude. That thing cost me some cash, Kyle. I'm telling you. I told my wife, I said, man, can we get some like cheaper ones? People are asking for them. Oh, man. But no, I do appreciate you, Kyle, being a part of the show, man, and hanging out with us. Kyle, I joke, is the honey king of the upstate. So whenever you make your way up that way, I don't know what town Kyle's in or Kyle, what the name of your business is, but go support that guy. He's here for us all the time. And one day, I'm going to try to swing by and get some of that honey. He's got that honeycomb. That honeycomb was pretty expensive. They might have to get you a tiger head for that. That's a big old jar of honeycomb. I've always wanted to raise bees. That just seems like fun. Seems like fun. I don't know, maybe it's not, but it seems like it is. I'll tell you what we'll do when Clemson gets ready to face off against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. We'll have to keep Kyle on watch to tell us exactly how you take care of them. How do you make sure that the Clemson Tigers dominate Georgia Tech next weekend, September the 18th in Tiger Town, a 3:30 kickoff. But first, a 5 o'clock kickoff on the ACC network against SC State. Talking with Tim Beret the other a couple of months ago about it. You know, I think this is the first time Clemson's kicked off at that 5 p.m. Eastern kickoff time. So a unique start time for Clemson, certainly, and an opportunity to bounce back. The other thing, too, we've got some audio coming up here on the program from DJ Ungalale. And again, it was a tough night for him in Charlotte. It was obviously a tough couple of days coming off of the heels of that loss and the expectations and the Heisman Trophy conversations that existed before the season. Well, we'll hear from DJ. And again, you get to judge. You tell me, how does DJ come across after facing this level of adversity? And, DJ's already done something that Trevor Lawrence never did. Lose a regular season football game. I mean, how about that for Trevor? Like, he didn't achieve what I think some people thought he might after year one, which was maybe multiple national champions as a quarterback at Clemson. And granted, would still have a year had he chosen to stick around and be the quarterback at Clemson this season. But he only lost in a national championship and a college football playoff semifinal. That's it. I mean, you go through the laundry list of names and the great quarterbacks in the history of this sport, but you start to try to dig up the ones that have done something like that, like their only loss being in a bowl game in the pre-college football playoff era. I mean, I don't know who those players are. I would imagine there are some guys that were like one-hit one year as the starter and get out of Dodge, but how many guys have been from freshman to junior year right there in the mix every season? Honestly, never losing a game in the regular season and playing for 2 national titles and being in the mix for a 3rd national championship game. I mean, seriously. Can't be many. Can't be many. 803-450-0086 text line, phone line, be a part of the program. And we actually have some texts coming in to the show right now, so we'll make sure we get those up for you here on the program. Big Mark checking out the program. He says, Swanny, how do you feel about having a running back by committee? Looking at Malusi, just name a guy and ride him to glory. There was also a little gosh darn it in there. I like that. Yeah, I had a chance to watch Chez Malusi this past weekend. Of course, Chez, the former Clemson Tiger running back now with Wisconsin, and the Badgers did lose this weekend, but there were moments in that game where I'm watching Chez and going, okay, what do you have, 31 carries in the opener? Riding the old bull. What's the old saying? Ride her till she bucks you. And again, it was a loss, but 31 attempts, 121 yards, 1 touchdown on the day for Chez Malusi there as Wisconsin lost to Penn State in their season opener. Trying to think, 23 attempts, I think, for Clemson running backs, right? In that game against Georgia this weekend for minus 2 yards, or excuse me, for 2 yards total. Felt like minus 2 yards. Taking a look here to see that Clemson, Georgia. Ha! That's hilarious. This stat thing has Clemson and Georgia logos, but it's all the stats from the App State East Carolina game. That is bizarre. That was the other Duke's Mayo Classic, which, by the way, Duke's Mayo gave away this jar of customized Clemson and Georgia mayonnaise. I don't know if it's available in stores or not. At least the label was customized. And, I've gotten the backdrop behind me. I don't know if you can see some of the bottles. You certainly see the footballs, but there's a glass bottle Coke National Championship. There's a 1974 Pepsi in the background. And I thought, man, do I put the mayo back there? But I don't think the mayo is the one you want to save. Like, I know maybe it's supposed to be a collector's item. I can't imagine what that mayonnaise will look like in a year. So I would eat the mayonnaise. That would be my strategy. eat the mayonnaise. We'll get updates from Tiger Town when we get back here on the show that shakes the Southland. Stay with us.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Serious wreck this afternoon on Broad River at Omarest. Also an accident on I-20 westbound near the Monticello Road exit. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Good news! The FDA has approved a COVID-19 vaccine. So if you've been waiting for FDA approval, now is the time to get vaccinated. Find your free vaccine at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Our iconic iHeartRadio Music Festival is finally back. September 17th and 18th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Streaming free on the CW app and CWTV.com. And live on iHeartRadio stations across America.
The biggest live music festival in the world.
Brought to you by Expedia, the official travel companion of the iHeartRadio Music Festival. Vegas is back. Live music is back. Let's go together. Expedia. It matters who you travel with.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. A staggering 8 million tons of plastic ends up in the world's oceans every year. If current trends continue, our oceans could contain more plastic than fish by 2050. Do your part. Purchase items made from renewable or recycled content and recycle whenever possible. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Way back when, Columbia was a vast dining desert, a wasteland for fast, fresh, authentic Southwestern food. Weren't nothing bundled up nice and warm in a tortilla. Columbia needed Diablos. Southwestern the way you want it. The real deal, with no shortcuts in quality and served up as fast and fresh as you want it. Diablo Southwest Grill, Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. DiabloSouthwestGrill.com.
Goodyear tires keep vehicles that are thousands of pounds traveling at high speeds firmly connected to the road for thousands of miles. Now, imagine what it's like having the same performance and quality on your Skechers. Introducing Skechers footwear with Goodyear rubber. We've taken the same high-performance rubber compound in Goodyear tires and fused it into Skechers high-quality, stylish footwear. Skechers uses Goodyear rubber to enhance our footwear's traction, durability, and stability in almost any weather condition on almost any surface for grip and long-lasting wear like you've never experienced. From high-performance running sneakers to cool sandals to rugged hiking boots to casual kicks and work footwear, Skechers with Goodyear rubber will give you the traction and stability you need to perform your best. Skechers is the leader in comfort technology with innovations like air-cooled memory foam, arch fit, stretch fit, relaxed fit, and so many more. Because they're Skechers, you know they're going to be comfortable. For comfort, performance, and durability, it's Skechers and Goodyear, where the sneakers meet the road. Find them at Skechers.com, a Skechers store, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much, but it does. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
The show that shakes the Southland, or as they said in the olden days, the show that shaketh the Southland. Lawton Swan with you here on a Wednesday afternoon. Kind of feels like a Thursday a little bit, I think, because of Labor Day kicking off the week. Just feels a little bit different, if you will. But man, are we excited to have you be a part of the program here and to hang out with us and spend some time talking a little college football. I was trying to see if I could give out this. Let me see. See if I can get this working the way I want. Yeah, there we go. I think this will do the trick. So John in Archdale, North Carolina, texted us a few minutes ago during the break, and he shared a picture of his 1974 Clemson Pepsi bottle and his 1981 Clemson National Championship bottle. Those are pretty cool. The 74 was an undefeated home season. I've actually got that one behind me, but actually have the drink in it. I used to have some of the Orange Crush cans from the 81 National Championship. Those are pretty nasty, though. They got pretty gross. And then the new ones, man, most of you, if you haven't checked on it lately, we did an episode of the show probably a year or two ago. And I was like, you might want to go check. I hope you didn't put that near something nice because mine all busted. I mean, it was nasty. Mold growing, gross. But some of you are driving home right now going, oh, no, those cans. Yeah, those cans. They just like had pinholes in them. It was like, and I can't imagine that any other Coke like would have done that. I don't think they were very well manufactured or made or, whatever goes into pulling that off. So again, really appreciate John sharing that photo, and I've got mine in the background behind me. One of the other photos that we got earlier this week as well from a listener, and you could text us too, 803-450-0086 came in from Scott, and he was saying that he's going to be in the First Friday parade coming up this week at Clemson, and he mentioned he was going to be driving in I think he said it was some type of Monte Carlo. I think is what it was, the IBO Monte Carlo. And so I was like, what is the IBO Monte Carlo? Well, it's the I Bleed Orange Monte Carlo. So apparently Scott, one of our listeners, is going to be cruising around during Clemson's First Friday parade this weekend, which when I was in college and you had a home game, man, that First Friday parade to me always felt like the start of the college football season. But if you see this car, the I Bleed Orange Monte Carlo in the Clemson in the First Friday parade, that'll be our listener, Scott. Look at that. The Clemson Experience. Oh, look at the Tiger busting out the back window. I just noticed as I zoomed in for everybody watching. So if you're not watching the show, you say, how can I watch the show? I say, how can't you? Again, it's live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And I would encourage you to go over to YouTube and subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers here on the program. And that's a nice little custom Monte Carlo. Got the purple rims. Looks all set and ready to go. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about. I said we'd take it up to Tiger Town. We will, after this break, we'll hear from Will Shipley after his opening weekend and his opening game performance. James says, Swanny, we need to improve the recruiting of the O-line. It's been a problem for a couple of years. Yeah, this is something that's interested me a little bit. Not necessarily that Clemson's offensive line and offensive line recruiting has been bad, right? Because you had Jackson Carman, a former 5-star. Tristan Lee comes in as a former 5-star. Walker Parks, highly thought of. Jordan McFadden, highly thought of. Not 5-star players, but certainly 4-star and not guys that other teams would pass on. But what I think has really been exemplified here recently, to me, seems to be with these guys that Clemson has brought in that maybe they haven't developed as quickly as people would like. And I'd love to catch up with Eric McLean, a former offensive lineman, to talk about this because I know Robbie Caldwell's name's getting thrown around a lot. And I think that everybody wants a scapegoat, a target. They want somebody to go after. You want somebody to blame for the loss. And I think that's why people are texting in the middle of a game where you have no business playing Tyson Pumachan or Hunter Helms or anybody behind DJ Uyunglele. I got multiple texts of people saying, does Clemson not have a backup quarterback? People want somebody to blame. It's the reason some of you have invented a shirt that's magical, that helps us come back. Some of you got your lucky socks and shoes, because if things go wrong, and you don't have that item, you can always blame it, or you can go start a new tradition. Go get something else. And then if that works, that's your new lucky shirt. And so I started thinking about Robbie Caldwell and the calls for Robbie Caldwell to be fired from a lot of Clemson Tiger fans. And it seems so eerily similar to the calls about Tony Elliott. And yeah, is there a difference in the coordinating of this team now versus a few years back when they hammered Alabama and you had Jeff Scott on the sidelines? Yeah, there is a difference still. But I don't personally believe that any of those differences are so great that there has to be this significant changeover at Clemson in order to achieve the success that you want. I mean, this was literally just cleaning up a few things here and there from Clemson winning that game, maybe 13-10, maybe 17-10. I mean, who knows? And with that being out there, I just don't think, like a great professor, I don't think that a coach like Robbie Caldwell is going to necessarily lose the skill set to coach the same way he has been when Clemson's had 2 national championships and been in 6 consecutive college football playoffs, etc. So I'm a pump the brakes guy. I'm like, look, let's just see how this season plays out. That's my philosophy. We'll hear from Shipley next.
Hi, I'm Pat Struby, and I host the show Save Your Retirement each Saturday here on WVOC. One concern my clients have is what to do about Medicare. In my experience, what most people want is a trusted advisor who can show them their Medicare options. My friend Tim Hanberry understands the ins and outs of Medicare and is the author of a book called Medicare Blueprint. Tim walks you through the entire process, from helping you sign up with Medicare, picking the right plan, and then making sure you have your ID cards. He has done this for my clients, and I recommend him to you. So if it's your time for Medicare, call us at 803-9-RETIRE and set up a time to speak with him. He'll listen to your individual circumstances and then give you the kind of straightforward advice you're looking for. Make this easy on yourself. Go to MedicareBlueprint.com or call 803-9-RETIRE to set up an appointment.
Tim Hanberry is an independent agent. Pat Struby is not compensated by Tim. Neither Pat nor Tim are affiliated with Medicare, the U.S. government, or any governmental agency.
When it's hot, it is hot. Stay cool with Wilson'sAir.com weather update.
Showers will linger tonight, temperatures dipping to the low 70s. Tomorrow, highs will be in the mid-80s. Cloudy with some showers early and then some late clearing. For Channel 25, ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farley.
This report is paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Good news. The FDA has approved a COVID-19 vaccine. So if you've been waiting for FDA approval, now is the time to get vaccinated. Find your free vaccine at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Sharing has never meant as much as it does now. We share the things we love most in life for the world to see. But what if we could actually do more with our sharing than just collect likes? What if this sharing could be used to make a difference? Now there's a place where we can put all that sharing to good use. The National MS Society is asking people to make a difference and share what they love with someone else who loves it too. Whether it's surfing, dancing, or whatever is important to you, we've created a place that'll help you get your experience out to the world. If you have a story, share it. If you have a solution, share that too. Join us at wearestrongerthanms.org, because together, we are stronger.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. So, who's going to do what? Flashlights?
Nowhere to be found.
Where to be found? Batteries.
Dead.
Great. Emergency supply kits.
Not packed.
No. What about blankets?
We have an old towel.
Good enough. Cell phones.
May not work.
Emergency water?
Not a drop.
And what about food?
Nope.
Perfect. We all know where we're meeting if we're separated, yeah?
The library. Aunt Joan's house. The bus stop.
Great. And I'll be waiting here wondering where you all are. Sounds like we don't have a plan. Who's up for mini golf?
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. A public service announcement brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com.
Stay focused. Now that's a major key alert.
Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Facts
With a sprinkle of opinion.
The Rundown with Rob. Weekdays at 3 on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Back at it on a Wednesday. Let us know what you think about the new backdrop. Got the footballs in the background. Got the Clemson Sports Talk logo. We'd love to hear from you. Text line 803-450-0086. You can also call that number and be a part of the program. Double O says no need to panic. I watched Ohio State and Oklahoma play. Not impressed with either. One or both of those teams will lose. So please keep supporting your Tigers and think we will win. I think we will win out and be in the playoffs at the end of the year. Trevor was great. Could be another Tom Brady with the right team, but please stop comparing DJ with him. I don't think that's really fair. That comes to us from Double O. Well, DJ has a partner in the backfield, and I tell you, there were moments in that game, although he didn't have huge numbers, that it felt like, man, Will Shipley looks like he can really be a ball player. And I thought if Shipley had a couple of touchdowns in the opener, Clemson would win. And based off of the numbers, I'd say I was right. Because, again, if anybody had had a touchdown for Clemson, they might win that ball game. Nonetheless, DJ getting a chance to get his feet wet in that atmosphere and right there in his own backyard. Here's what he had to say about the start of his college football career.
Yeah, it was unreal for me. Going back to Charlotte, playing a top 5 matchup for my first college game. Really my first football game in almost 2 years. So just get back out there, play for Clemson University. It was unreal. It's something I'll remember for the rest of my life.
So again, Will Shipley there talking about his time at Clemson. I may have said DJ, but I meant Will Shipley. Either way, still, those guys really in front of that type of atmosphere, had to be just a huge moment. He was also asked about what did he feel having to come in and, maybe get an immediate opportunity for playing time and what that's been like for him.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is I've just kept my head down and I've worked. That's the one thing. When I came in here, I told myself I was going to do, and I was going to hold myself to that. If you don't do that at Clemson, then, the opportunity isn't going to present itself. So, coming in here as a freshman, I really just wanted to gain the respect from my teammates, keep my head down, work, stay true to myself, and, the opportunities have presented itself.
So, again, when you think about Will Shipley and how quickly he's sort of emerged for a lot of people, I think the future is bright. I think everybody's excited to see what else he can do over the rest of the campaign, especially when you consider he may be one of the fastest guys on the team right now. He was also asked about the fact that some of the upperclassmen already see him as a leader and really what that means to him as a player.
Yeah. It's crazy to hear them say that, from guys like James Skowski and DJ, who, I look up to. It means a lot, and it gives me responsibility to continue to, put in that work and, continue to gain the respect from my teammates and, to be a leader, day in and day out. It means a lot to me, And, I'm just trying to keep it up and, do the most that I can for my teammates.
Again, that is Will Shipley from his time with the media yesterday in Tigertown. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. Give us your thoughts on everything going on up in Clemson. Again, Lawton Swan, the show that shakes the Southland. Hit that subscribe button. We'll get out to some of your thoughts here in just a few minutes on all of this. And again, was not a huge game for Shipley, but it could have been potentially. And he was asked about the wheel route on that second play of the game that he was running, second or third play. I guess that was the second play of the game that he was running, and just sort of, his thoughts on how that played out.
I feel like I'm real comfortable, just, coming in here early in January, getting a bunch of balls in spring camp, all the way out throughout the summer, skills and drills, and then, even through fall camp, just creating that chemistry with, DJ and the other quarterbacks. I'm really comfortable catching the ball out of the backfield, and, I'm comfortable with helping the team in any way that I can, so if that's catching the ball, then, that's what I want to do.
There he is, Will Shipley, the former 5-star running back, was also asked about being open on that play. Here's what he said. I mentioned it earlier. Dabo Swanny said that DJ missed the wheel route, but Shipley says, you know what? DJ made the right read.
Yeah, I did. But, DJ made the right read. Davis Allen was the first read. He was open. Just ended up getting batted down. Credit to number 95 on Georgia, getting his hands up. But I was open, but, DJ did make the right read, So
there you go. Will Shipley says DJ did indeed make the right read. I guess not necessarily the wrong read is not what Dabo Swanny was getting at by the fact that he threw that ball to Davis Allen, but that wheel route was coming open. And if DJ had just had one more second or just held the ball one more second, maybe he sees that and Clemson hits on a big play to start the game. And, that's the thing. Dabo Swanny has talked about how close this ball game was with Georgia, and I agree. And I think that in a game like that, one play can not just change the outcome like the pick six did, but if you start a game and hit on a momentum play like that, what it can do for the rest of the ball game is immense. And when you don't hit on it, when you have the ball batted down and then you take a sack on third down and you end up punting, that just, to me, tends to build on the hurdles and the challenges that you face the rest of the game, because confidence for your opponent continues to grow. And what a shot to the gut, like what happened in that national championship game against Alabama. When Tua drops back and makes the pass out to the flats and it's intercepted, and A.J. Terrell is racing to the end zone, and Isaiah Simmons is running behind him, hitting a little swimming motion. In that moment, Clemson, in my opinion, even though Alabama would answer on that next drive, in that moment, Clemson set the tone for what that game was going to be. And that was going to be a fist fight. And I think it shocked Alabama. And then as Clemson kept coming, then all of a sudden it went from being a fist fight to Ivan Drago versus Apollo Creed. I mean, it was ugly. And so this game against Georgia, if Clemson lands that little haymaker early, picks up 65, 70 yards, gets points, who knows what that game ends up looking like, right? Small things made a huge difference on Saturday night.
It's time to get your home insanely clean. Listen, Zero Res cleans like no other. No harsh chemicals and no sticky, soapy residue is left behind. And right now, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $119. Plus, when you mention this station, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Schedule online at ZeroResColumbia.com.
When a community grows, its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
Hey guys, Lawton Swan here. I was hanging out in the backyard with my son Mason a couple of years ago, and he said, "Dad, you're the best father ever." When I asked him why, he said, "Because when I go outside to play, I don't get eaten up by the bugs anymore." Imagine that, me a hero, when all I did was call my good buddy Trey Powell at Mosquito Joe. With their routine service plan, no more bugs and no more bites. Make yourself the family hero. Call Mosquito Joe today, 803-223-7916. That's 803-223-7916. Outside is fun again.
Plus tags entitled with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. JT's Kia is paying up to $4,000 over book value for your trade. You could even get nearly what you paid for it. I can assure you this is not going to last. And when other dealers' shelves are bare, JT has the Kias you want. New 2022 Kia Telluride, Sorrentos, K5s. Credit concerns? Nobody works harder than JT to get you approved. Come get the most possible for your trade right now at JT's Kia, I-77 at Killian Road, jtskia.com.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a broken traffic light. Stop and go is the name of my game. It's easy. You go, they go. Or was it they go, you go? And if you have the wrong car insurance, these repair costs could stop you in your tracks. So get Allstate's new low auto rate and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Not available in every state based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
What's up? This is Riley. And a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A grilled chicken club sandwich is the applewood bacon. It's savory and then it's also kind of sweet. And I think the combination of bacon with chicken and Colby Jack cheese, it just really knocks it out of the park.
Hey, I'm Tanea. A little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A grilled chicken club sandwich is the chicken. It's so juicy. It's grilled to perfection. I'm going to devour this sandwich.
Order the grilled chicken club sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Football is back, baby.
You gotta believe it.
And the NFL Podcast Network is now on the free iHeart app. Whether you're a casual fan or a rabid name your kid after your favorite player kind of fan, we got you covered. Just open the free iHeart app for in-depth analysis from the pros on podcasts like NFL Explained and Around the NFL. Fantasy football fanatic? Of course you are. We got you with multiple fantasy football podcasts, so you know who to start, who to sit, and who to pick up to win the week. The NFL Podcast Network on the free iHeart app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I was sensitive to lights and sounds, so I built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. Sometimes I do the same things over and over, until one day I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app. And on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeart radio station.
Bada boom, realest champs in the room, the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk, Lawton Swan with you. And again, it was a lot of fun diving into what Will Shipley had to say up in Tigertown yesterday afternoon. You know, we try here on a Wednesday to get up with our buddy Roddy Jones. Haven't heard from Roddy today, but he keeps a busy schedule this time of the year. The other thing, too, is we are also working to get our good buddy Michael Felder on the show as well. So we'll try to get up with those guys here soon. Again, your thoughts on everything going on in Tigertown. We got a lot. Clemson Craig takes the blame. He says, it's my fault, Swanny. I forgot my lucky drawers, right? That's the way it goes, Craig. That's the way it goes. Linda shared the show. She's in the penalty box. She also says that the Storms are headed her way over in Hartsville, and she gave us the old raindrop cloud and the lightning emoji. And we still have a little bit of that going on. So, Linda, thank you. Thank you for hanging out with us here and sharing the show. SCU says, "Stop looking at me, Swan." Always appreciate everybody hanging out and being a part of the program and spending time with us, man. It's fun. James says, Swanny, ETN did not get 1,000 yards rushing last year. Either way, we can't or aren't willing to run the ball. Now, there is something I am absolutely willing to entertain that conversation. That's one I'll go with you on 100% because I kind of feel that way too. And I think where this becomes a little bit more frustrating for Clemson Tiger fans is you watch teams that you feel like are less talented, right? You watch teams that you feel like are less talented, and yet still they are able to not only run route combinations and utilize route trees to get players wide open. Like I think Ole Miss is the prime example of that. Like Ole Miss is the prime example of what I think Clemson fans picture with guys like Justin Ross, with guys like EJ Williams when he's healthy, and as we mentioned yesterday, he's going to try to go with this hurt thumb. Frank Ladson, Joseph Ngata, Bo Collins, Ajo, Dakari Collins. I mean, you start digging as deep as you want, and then you say, man, why are there not just Clemson Tiger guys running free left and right? That would be something that I would bring up if I'm a Clemson Tiger fan right now when I watch other teams, because wouldn't proper route trees open those things up? And then secondly, or maybe not even proper, but perhaps some of the combinations that are put together might open things up. And that's the goal. Like, I don't think Clemson's trying to be vanilla, but you get the point that I'm reaching for on that one. But then the running back side of things too is you have to be committed to the run. And I watch teams across the country that even in this era of just an offensive onslaught, consistently stick with the run. And I think Clemson does tend to get away from the run more often than they should. And I think that's one of the things that has frustrated some people recently is that even when you have great backs, it feels like you're vacating the premises on that front. Last season, just looking at the numbers, and Etienne's never been a big boatload of carries kind of guy, but Travis Etienne carried the ball just 168 times for 914 yards in the 2020 college football campaign. His previous two seasons, he had gone over 1,600 yards. Now, it was a shorter year for Clemson because of COVID-19, smaller schedule, and you didn't make it into the national championship like you had in 2019 and 2018. But he's off of his rushing average, his rushing numbers those 2 years by 700 yards last season. So 12 games, 168 carries. Let me do this math real quick because I see Tiger Chuck also reaching out to talk a little bit, I think, about this. But so he had 168 carries in 12 games. What did I do? 168 divided by 12. That's about what? 14 carries a game. 207 divided by 15. He actually carried the ball more times per game a year ago than he may have had more carries per game a year ago than he had at any other point in his career, honestly. That's probably a stat that blows your mind a little bit. Travis Etienne actually carried the ball more times per game in 2020 than he had at any other time in his career. He carried it 14 times a game. A little surprising. Like sometimes when you get into the numbers of it all, now his yards per carry went down to 5.4 versus 7.8 as a junior and 8.1 yards per carry as a sophomore. So all that being said, Travis Etienne rushed the ball per game more times a year ago than he has in his career, which to me is a pretty surprising number. I'll be honest with you. Tiger Chuck says, Swanny, with this offensive line, if the first read is open, then take it, please. I texted you the other day about that wheel route, and I'm surprised to hear that he was actually throwing it to Davis Allen, because when you watch it, that pass was going to be so far behind Allen anyway. You know, I watched that play a couple of times last night. Let me go back and watch it again, Tiger Chuck. But even Swanny said that that's where he was going, was to Davis Allen, and maybe it was going to be behind him. But you're right about the wheel route. And I actually thought about that. I couldn't remember, Chuck, who wrote it, Tiger Chuck. But now that you bring it back up, when I was looking at that last night, I remember I said, man, somebody mentioned that on the show. All right, we'll hit a quick break, man. Hour 2. Listen, while we're going to the break, here's what you do. Go over to our YouTube channel, subscribe. Get us to 500 so we can get to 1,000. One subscriber at a time.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports, Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A couple of tie-ups this afternoon, including Polar Road at Wildwood Downs Parkway, also a wreck on Broad River at Omarest. The 103.5 FM WBOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Good news! The FDA has approved a COVID-19 vaccine. So if you've been waiting for FDA approval, now is the time to get vaccinated. Find your free vaccine at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
One of the biggest issues for men over the age of 45 is erectile dysfunction. Newly introduced European technology is now available and has proven to be over 85% successful in treating ED. Here's Dr. Brown with Peak Performance for Men and local top doctor for ED.
Erectile dysfunction for men of all ages has become much more common. In fact, most men don't realize that 90% of erectile dysfunction is a direct result of broken down old blood vessels. This causes a lack of blood flow, which is critical in achieving an erection. With our state-of-the-art technology, we're able to rid those blood vessels of the plaque and scar tissue buildup and stimulate new stem cell growth right in our office with no downtime, no medications, and no pain.
To book your consultation and get back to natural functionability, call Peak Performance for Men today at 803-302-8181. That's 803-302-8181. Don't wait. Get the intimacy you deserve, naturally. Call Peak Performance for Men today at 803-302-8181.
A divorce can cause strife and cost you more than it should. That's why you need the experienced counsel of Masella Law to guide you and protect what you value most. With over 25 years of experience, Masella Law has a proven track record of success in family law, criminal defense, and more. With countless cases won or competently settled, we are confident in our ability to fight on your behalf. Call Masella Law for exceptional representation at 748-9990.
748-9990. Give us a call or just log on MasellaLaw.com.
It seems every time they have an issue, they ask, do you know a good plumber? Here's the answer. Yes. On-Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Like the name implies, they're on-call, so they're there when you need them. And On-Call always sends a trained technician, not a trained salesperson. Locally owned and operated, online at OnCallSC.com.
On-Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Pick up the phone and we'll be right there. Call 781-HELP.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The American Red Cross urgently needs blood and platelet donations and asks donors to schedule an appointment to give now. Every 2 seconds, someone in the United States needs blood. Your blood donation is critical and can help save lives. Please Schedule an appointment today. Download the Blood Donor app, visit redcrossblood.org, or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. You can make a difference.
WCOS Columbia, Fox Sports Radio 1400, an iHeart radio station available everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan. Just call me Swanny.
Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That is drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. Still hoping to get up with our buddy Roddy Jones. If we can't, don't stress. Tomorrow we'll be here for you. Again, thank you to everybody for hanging out with us. I hope you've enjoyed what we've been able to do with some of our audio over on YouTube and sharing that stuff with you through stories and the Roar that comes out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you're not familiar with that piece, man, it's a really, really neat and interesting piece where we can kind of go into a multitude of different topics with you. And it's one of the things, one of the reasons that we started it, to be honest with you. Back, I guess, last college football season, I was spending some time talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes with Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. And he and I were talking after he was on the show one day, and I was just like, man, you know, Dan, with the website, trying to find some things that are really cool. What do you guys do? And he said, man, have you ever seen our skull session? And I was like, no, man, I haven't. What's that about? And so he kind of told me, and I was like, all right, well, let me check into it. And then I looked at it, and I was like, oh, dude, this is nice. And so he was like, well, you should run with one. So we came up with it, and, you know, it's sort of your shot in the morning to kind of get your day going with a quick hitter of everything going on in Tiger Town. So as you can see here, the front page, if you're watching the show of ClemsonSportsTalk.com, several stories up. Anytime you've got the play button, that means there's audio or video involved in it. We got several of those on the docket. But then, man, you go into the Roar, and this story comes out again twice a week. Our buddy Scott Sasser writing that for us. But he'll go in and clip some awesome gifts, but more importantly, he'll take times and quotes and moments from the show and share those with everybody else checking out the program. So really cool. That may be one of my favorite graphics we've done so far for these. The go back to Michelin, the adversity that Clemson has faced this past week, and what fans have said, and the comments on message boards about this team. You know, it's amazing. You know, it takes a lot not to just say, hey, maybe you're a little bit spoiled as a fan. And that might not be something you want to hear. That's not something you want to hear about your children. It's not something you want to hear about yourself. But maybe you're just a little bit spoiled at this point that losing the way Clemson did to Georgia feels like doom and gloom and the end of the world. Like somebody had to win that game. Somebody had to lose that game. And as Kirk Herbstreit said in preparation for it, he said, look, this is jumping into the deep end of the pool. And much like George Carlin would tell you, when you step into a rest area bathroom and you got those fluorescent lights, buddy, you're going to see every bump, bruise, boil, wart, pimple, zit, whatever you got. And guess what? We saw a lot of those things this weekend because you were going up against one of the top teams in the country, the current number 2 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. And if at the end of the calendar year, the loss on your resume is a loss to the number 2, possibly number 1 ranked team in the country, and you didn't You did not give up an offensive touchdown. If that's the loss you have, and you run out the table the rest of the way, win the ACC championship, I mean, the odds that you are in the playoff are good. So just relax and enjoy the season. How can you enjoy the season? James went to Clemson in the 1970s. It says, man, I never dreamed we would ever win a natty. James got 3. And has a team in 2021 that might be good enough to win another one. Listen, I'm with you, man. Tony's in the penalty box, so he hit subscribe. Tony, what are you doing? He hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. Tony, next thing you know, I'm going to have new equipment. This is going to be extremely high definition, and you're going to have to see every pimple, boil, wart, zit, whatever on my face. I mean, at least right now I'm tuning it down to 480p for you. What are you doing it sharp as a tack, Tony? It's going to be people like you who push me to that. Going to be people like you. Thank you, Tony, man. Appreciate you, buddy. He says, man, what's the deal with Lynn J. Dixon? I missed on why he was suspended. I believe Lynn J. Could have been the difference. I haven't heard anything outside of violation of team rules. And let me tell you what that could mean for Dabo Swanny, being late for a meeting. Like, that is the other crux of the matter that some people want to talk about with this Clemson team after you see Lynn J. and the way the offense felt with Lynn J. Dixon in the ball game versus the way the offense felt earlier, the spark that he brought to the table. Some people would say, dude, you can't have discipline like that in your program. Like, how you get, like, and again, it could be anything. But Dabo Swanny has standards. He doesn't care if you're a walk-on or the 5-star stud. You have to treat everybody the same in an organization in order for there to be continuity across the board, in order to keep jealousy down, in order to keep order. That's just part of what you have to have in place. And I'll be honest, I thought, Lynn J. last year was nursing an injury, had been banged up. And, fall camp, as much as it is grueling or whatever, players, and the reason I throw that whatever on is because, I said last week that when you get into that first week of the season, the hits are different. Like, your opponent hits you different than your teammates at practice during fall camp. But as grueling as it is or whatever, you can still sustain injuries and be banged up. I mean, you look no further than Nolan Turner, the guy that's banged up. They're hoping to get him back. And so with that out there, in the conversation, I thought, seeing him on the side, like, first off, you wonder, okay, is he with the team? Because we had heard probably 15 minutes before kickoff, was talking in the press box with some guys, and one fella says, man, I heard Lynn J. might be suspended. And so your initial reaction is, well, let's see if we can see him on the field. And there he is. And he's got his helmet. I don't think his helmet was on, but he has his helmet in his hand. And so you go, okay, well, maybe he's injured, but at least he's got a helmet. Like, that's a signal that he might be playing. And then eventually he's in the ball game at the end, and Swanny comes out afterwards and talks about how, violation of team rules. And so to know it wasn't an injury, I think, is a positive. You certainly don't want a guy, though, with his experience having violation of team rules. Because it was clear when he came in the game, one of the things that I would venture to guess that Kobe Pace and Will Shipley and Phil Maffa and some of the other running backs aren't as familiar with are some of the pass protection schemes. And I don't think I would be the first person to run Lynn J. Dixon out as my big pass protection back. But if you told me that I get a guy that might be more familiar with some checks and changes at the line of scrimmage to know to slide over and pick up a linebacker blitzing through versus a guy that might not get that call and is looking to his left while trouble's on the backside, I'll take the guy that knows the calls. If you follow me. 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. Preston's back in the house. Preston, how'd the cross-country meet go, man? Preston was at a cross-country meet, I think, yesterday or the day before. Dude, let me tell you. No offense, Preston. I hated running cross-country. I only ran cross-country to not have to do preseason conditioning for basketball. He says, go Tigers, go DJ and the team, all in and behind them all. So was it cross country or track? Preston says we ran in circles. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I remember running at the state meet, and I think I finished like 54th, maybe 56th. But I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good because I wasn't like a competitive runner. The problem was for me with cross country. This might speak to somewhat of my athleticism and my laziness all in one, if that's possible. But in my little hometown, we would run back then. You could run off campus. I don't know if you can do that anymore for practice, but back then we could. I mean, small town USA. And so we would run from the high school. I really need to map this out. I have no idea how far this was. And we run all the way to town, like downtown. And in Barnwell, there's a circle, not a square. There's a circle. You can't have the festival on the round on the square. You have to have the festival on the round on the circle. So you go to the circle in Barnwell, and you run back around there, and then go back up the back way to the high school. Now, back then, there was a place called Burley's Pharmacy right on the circle. And I would run, the cross-country route, go into Burley's, get like a chewing gum and a cherry Coke. And it was the old school cherry Coke, right? Like you get the Coke and they scoop the syrup in, got the crushed ice like that you get at Zaxby's. Classic. I'd enjoy a quick cherry Coke, get a piece of gum. In old school USA, I'd say put it on my dad's tab. And they'd, charge him, probably back then it was probably 75 cents or whatever. I'd finish my soda, get me a new fresh piece of gum, and out the door I go. There I went, running back to the school to finish up my cross-country practice. So, and the coach was never like, man, Swanny, your pace was off today. I was still pretty good, kept up with the team. But the problem for me was Jason Wills. And I don't know where Jason's living. I don't know what he's up to these days. I think I am Facebook friends with him. But he ended up winning the state in the mile my senior year. And all I remember about cross-country practice was what the soles of his shoes looked like, because we called him Robo Runner for a reason. I could never beat that guy. Never. Now, some of you say, well, if you hadn't stopped and got a Coca-Cola at Burley's, Swanny, maybe. No. By the time I was stopping at Burley's to get the Coca-Cola, believe me, Robo runner Jason Wills was probably getting back up to the high school. I mean, that dude could pick him up and put him down for long distances. It was not fun. Preston says we run to and from Dunkin' Donuts. Now that's my kind of cross country team. When's our meet, coach? Holler at me. You see a bald guy running up the road with a Dunkin' Donuts coffee in one hand and a donut in the other. That's me. Y'all honk the horn. I'm a new member of the what is it? The Dutch Fork cross country team. Is that where we are, Preston? That's me. Swanny picking them up, putting them down. Man, I heard you guys got a 44-year-old star. Oh, he's elite. You ought to see the way he can pound that coffee and donut and still finish the race. Yeah, they've got apps now where, if you do this running stuff, you can run from zombies and all kind of stuff. I don't know, man. At least the Peloton has not become a place for my family to hang their clothes. That's a workout, boy. Whew. My gravy. James says, Swanny, Lynn J had 1 carry for 10 yards. I know, man. It was an explosive carry. It was a carry to the outside. It was something that we didn't see the whole game. Like Georgia, at one point in that game, when they realized, and this is something that does bother me about Tony Elliott at this point, I don't think he needs to go to Michelin. And if Tony was smart when he said that quote that people were telling him he needs to go back to Michelin, the response in that moment, Tony, if you really want to get a laugh, is go, you guys want me making your tires? Is that what you're telling me? You don't even think I'm capable of running this offense, but you want me making tires. Okay. Sounds safe. But the one thing I will say about Tony Elliott and this Clemson running game is, Georgia ran some really wide sweeps to the outside, some toss sweeps to the edge, really pushed the edge. Forget about trying to run the ball in between the tackles, but really getting wide. And Clemson didn't really do that. And so that, I think, if you want to say, Swanny, here's my big criticism, a power toss, something that we don't see all that often, but something to keep the ball on the ground. And then, look, the ultimate frustration, if you're going to talk about the offensive line and the decisions in the running game, was the first and goal at the 5. The first and goal at the 5. And I don't want DJ to get hurt. But you know what? When Taj Boyd was the quarterback, you were willing to run him, and the backup's what? Nick Schusler, Cole Stout, maybe at one point. I mean, you have to be willing to run your 6'5", 250-pound quarterback at the 5-yard line. And let me tell you, if you run him there and you get 3 and you get a touchdown and you win that game, you're in a different position than you're in now because you still very much control your destination. That's the one thing Clemson really doesn't, even though Dabo Swinney says they do. And I feel like if they win out, they got a great chance to be in, certainly. But you did lose a little something because I know if you're undefeated, you're in. I know if you're undefeated, you're in. The thing you lost is my absolute certainty that you're in. I think you got a great chance. I thought the polls yesterday proved it. I think the way Clemson will continue to play will prove it. I think the fact that nobody outside of Alabama seemed absolutely elite. Now, if you want to argue Clemson and Georgia in that category, I'll listen. Yeah, if they're not playing each other, they probably both look pretty elite. But that's the thing you lost is the certainty. Because even if you win out and you have one loss, who's to say that Oklahoma, Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia don't go undefeated into the championship weekend? And if Georgia and Alabama have a tight ball game, that the loser, especially if it's Georgia, doesn't get into the playoffs over you. That's what you've lost from me, the 100% certainty. We'll give you an update of all the big games coming up this weekend. Hard to believe we're almost to the weekend. I mean, that's the way. I mean, look, it's a Wednesday. It's hump day. Let's go. 2 more days. College football coming.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A couple of tie-ups this afternoon, including Polar Road at Wildwood Downs Parkway, also a wreck on Broad River at Omarest. The 103.5 FM WBOC traffic tip line number is 343-1055.
This report is paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Good news! The FDA has approved a COVID-19 vaccine. So if you've been waiting for FDA approval, now is the time to get vaccinated. Find your free vaccine at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
There's a hot new podcast we think you'll like. Variety's Strictly Business. Hear candid conversations about business deals, strategy, and the future of media and entertainment from industry A-listers. Hosted by Variety business editor Cynthia Littleton and co-editor-in-chief Andrew Wallenstein. And once a month, executive editor of music Shirley Halperin will join the conversation to discuss the business of music. Listen to Strictly Business on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you thinking about refinancing your home to get cash out for a renovation or to pay off debt? Save money with a cash out refinance from Cap Center.
We just helped a client who's a professional chef finance his dream kitchen. By avoiding typical closing costs, he had even more money for his vision.
Cap your closing costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
By popular demand, Great Southern Homes now lists their coming soon communities online. Whether you're looking for a new home in your hometown, moving to a new town, or just want your pick of choice lots, this is the place to start. Great Southern Homes invites you to put the wow in your new home with options and upgrades. Live green, live smart in your new green smart home. Show your style and personalize your new home with options and upgrades from Great Southern Homes. Find your dream home today, GreatSouthernHomes.com.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, I go to work, getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I feel like if I didn't have anyone to push me, I wouldn't give a bother to do it. I got one milestone down the drain, and now I got to work on the next. I see the future is really bright for me. I feel like it doesn't matter the age, as long as you go back and get it done. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
No one gets a diploma alone. You have more support than you realize. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You can help the Federation Center of the Blind continue its mission of opening more doors to blind South Carolinians. Please call 803-254-3777 or email nfbsc@sc.rr.com. Do it today. Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
The show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk, Lawton Swan with you. I hope you like the new backdrop. I hope you like the new lighting. I still got some things I want to tweak, but we are excited to have you here. So I was thinking, and I know I said we're going to get to some of the games coming up this weekend. But before we do that, I talked yesterday about Brock Heward. By the way, did you like the graphic we put out on that one? That's actually Brock Heward's face, by the way, with the clown hair and everything on him. I mean, for me, I get it in this business. Maybe you want to embellish a little bit. Maybe you want to be a little bodacious. You want to press the envelope or whatever you want to call it. You'll be a little larger than life with your comments. But again, maybe he walked it back at some point. But his comments about Clemson that I heard on our way, or at least on my way here, and part of the reason I don't listen to a ton of radio is because I like to form my own opinions. But my goodness, I just happen to have it on. I do listen to some Howard Stern, and that doesn't really help me form any opinions here. But when I'm riding home yesterday and I just tuned it in, and that Clemson in their game against Georgia, or I think the exact phrase was Dabo Swinney's team was humiliated by Georgia. And he never walked it back or laughed or said that's in jest. I think some of the national media members have almost come to the conclusion or the realization that fans can be just so off the wall that they're just going to run with some of this stuff in their headlines and the titles. And I saw it a couple of times over on ESPN today, or really over the past couple of days. First off, one of them was how it was put together about Clemson's standings in the polls. And again, like we said here on the program yesterday, Clemson was 2 in one poll previously. They were 3 in the other poll, and they dropped back only to 6th. But, and this is not air quotes, top headlines on ESPN.com says Georgia jumps to number 2. Jumps, a great word, right? Suitable, in my opinion. Georgia jumps to number 2. Clemson tumbles to 6th.
You fellas been doing a bit of boozing, have you? Sucking back on Grandpa's old cough medicine?
Am I missing something? Tumbles? Like, I almost feel like it's just a play on words to agitate Clemson Tiger fans. Going from 2 to 6 is not tumbling, especially when one of the teams that went past you was the team that beat you. And then falling from 3 to 6 is not tumbling. You hardly moved at all. So again, I take it all with a grain of salt and kind of laugh it up and enjoy it, because that's what you got to do. I mean, there's a long football season remaining. Just enjoy it. But I think sometimes these headlines are really meant to just kind of pull you in and get your goat, so to speak. Clemson tumbles. You know who tumbled? North Carolina. That's a tumble. I don't know what a slinky does, but that's all Clemson did. They, like a bad slinky, they just went down one little rung. Doesn't even feel like they went very far. Also today, the headline over on ESPN's website about Clemson, I guess a couple of ways they wrote this, but when you get into the article by Mark Schlabach, it says Clemson is done, ! Texas will win the Big 12. We'll bring some reality to your week 1 conclusions. The reality about Clemson is there's still plenty left in front of them. But according to Mark Schlabach, the ACC's playoff hopes are dead. My colleague Andrea Adelson and I discussed a doomsday scenario for the ACC last week. Clemson loses to Georgia. North Carolina falls to Virginia Tech, and Alabama and Ole Miss hammer Miami and Louisville, respectively. He says, unfortunately for the conference, all of those things happened on opening weekend, and it was actually worse. Georgia Tech fell to Northern Illinois, which didn't win a game in 2020. Duke lost to Charlotte, which had never beaten a Power 5 opponent. And they said, when does basketball practice start? Now, this is the other thing that kind of frustrates me on this again. As bad as the Tigers looked, it's silly to say that Dabo Swinney's dynasty is over. But the way Georgia's defense manhandled Clemson's offensive line, you cannot have one without the other. Like, you cannot say that Georgia was great and Clemson was terrible. It was the same game. It was the same game. Those two teams are two of the best teams in the country. You could not walk out of there with a tie. Somebody had to lose. If you say as bad as the Tigers looked, then you should just as easily be able to say as bad as the Dogs looked. One team did not look great in that venue, and the other looked bad. That's not what happened in Charlotte. You know what that looks like? 44-16 in the national championship game against the mighty Alabama Crimson Tide. Like, that is one team looking great and one team looking bad. And that team that looked bad that day was a great team. This was two great teams. But the narrative is going to continue to exist. And anybody that perpetuates it's only perpetuating it because they're cowards and they're scared of Clemson, to be honest with you. They don't want to see Clemson have a shot at getting into the college football playoff. Believe that. Stay with us.
Our iconic iHeartRadio Music Festival is finally back September 17th and 18th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Streaming free on the CW app and CWTV.com and live on iHeartRadio stations across America.
Feel tired and out of it? You could be dealing with junk sleep from sleeping on the wrong mattress. The Mattress Firm sleep experts will match you to the perfect mattress and help you unjunk your sleep. Visit mattressfirm.com or a Mattress Firm store today.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
Hi, it's Gary David. Are you ready to take a shot at finding a new career? FN America, a growing world-class design and manufacturer of the world's most innovative and quality firearms, is looking for you. At FN, you'll be part of a passionate team that takes pride in knowing they're doing their part to save lives and protect our freedom. FN offers outstanding benefits, including an on-site health and wellness center, excellent health plans, profit sharing, and 401k plan for all employees. So start carrying your future today and explore career opportunities at fnamerica.com/careers.
Plus tags entitled with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. JT's Kia is paying up to $4,000 over book value for your trade. You could even get nearly what you paid for it. I can assure you this is not going to last. And when other dealers' shelves are bare, JT has the Kias you want. New 2022 Kia Telluride, Sorrentos, K5s. Credit concerns? Nobody works harder than JT to get you approved. Come get the most possible for your trade right now at JT's Kia, I-77 at Killian Road, jtskia.com.
This is Chris Collinsworth. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network, presented by DraftKings.
The defending national champions had a convincing win over 14th ranked Miami and freshman quarterback Bryce Young. Could he be the best play caller Nick Saban has ever had? Young's 4 touchdown passes were the most by an Alabama quarterback making their debut. He completed 71% of his passes for 344 yards, and Young is already the Heisman favorite and putting Saban on track to win his 8th national title. I'm Chris Collinsworth. Download the DraftKings app and use code SPORTS to get a free shot at millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Need more football in your life? Look no further than the Good Morning Football podcast. Join me, Kay Adams, alongside Nate Burleson, Peter Schrager, and Kyle Brandt for a daily breakdown of the league's biggest stories.
If you're looking for the secret ingredient that makes Patrick Mahomes so special, or which sitcom best describes the Cowboys season, then this is the podcast for you.
The GMFB podcast is your one-stop shop for all things football.
Listen to the Good Morning Football podcast weekdays on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Chances are there'll never be an emergency ever again. But just in case, let's talk about a plan.
Okay.
Who is going to grab the go bag?
What's a go bag? It is a bag we do not have that is filled with things we really, really need in an emergency. Guess we won't have to worry about it then.
Well, this is great. I am so glad that we don't have a plan.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Broadcasting from the TrueCar.com studios. This is Columbia's Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Back at it on a Wednesday, the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you again. Your comments and feedback always appreciated over on our live Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I see more and more people commenting. So keep it coming. Let's go. 500 people. Let's go. We're going for 1,000. But let's hit 500 first. Then we'll start talking about the next goal for your Clemson Tigers. Trevor Lawrence is excited to be named one of the Jacksonville Jaguars captains as a rookie, the number 1 overall pick, who, I'll be honest, looked pretty good the last time we saw him, was named a captain for the Jaguars after Wednesday's practice. So congratulations to Big Trev, the giant killer. He said, quote, "It's a really cool feeling, especially as a younger guy, just having that support from my teammates. Really, like I said, after being named a starter and now a captain, nothing changes. Same expectation. And now it's time to go out there and win some games." So I know Clemson Tiger fans have been anxiously awaiting the beginning of the NFL season to be able to see Trevor Lawrence full go, 4 quarters, all of that good stuff. And the NFL season kicks off tomorrow night with Dallas taking on the reigning, defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 8:20 on NBC. For all the Tiger fans who want to see Jacksonville, they're at Houston on CBS at NRG Stadium. And if you're thinking, hey, does that mean DW4? Nope. That's not the starter for the Houston Texans. Tyrod Taylor gets the nod there, and we don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. I know Clemson Tiger fans wish this wasn't the storyline that's followed Deshaun. And as a matter of fact, yesterday we brought up Tavian Feaster, and CJ Spiller is going to be honored this weekend as he's been selected to go into the College Football Hall of Fame. But Tavian Feaster, you may remember, wore that number 28 jersey and then left to go to South Carolina. And I remember people thinking, man, that one didn't work out. To unretire that number 28 jersey and put it on Feaster and then have him leave and go to South Carolina, people, that didn't work out. But a lot of people felt like, you know what, for Steve Fuller, the number 4 thing worked out. I mean, kids who didn't know of Steve Fuller probably saw the patch on Deshaun Watson's jersey. They probably still have seen it. But now with what's going on with Deshaun Watson, and I know these things happen outside of his time at Clemson. And I know that, again, these are allegations. And I am a huge proponent of innocent until proven guilty, right? But, I mean, if you're Steve Fuller, and again, this didn't happen while he's at Clemson. Not that nothing's been alleged while he's at Clemson. But, you know, perhaps the unretiring of jerseys should be a thing that is retired at this point. And again, I'm not saying Deshaun's guilty. I'm not saying Deshaun's innocent. I'm simply saying, is the process or the policy of unretiring jerseys a healthy one? Based on what I would say at this point, 2 scenarios, one in which ended up with the guy leaving to go be a Gamecock at the end of his career. The other, certainly the guy who won you a national championship, was an unbelievable player, arguably the greatest quarterback in Clemson history, having some baggage that seems to be with him in the NFL, and who knows how that's going to turn out. Is that a great policy? Probably not. Probably not. And you know what? If Deshaun Watson ends up coming out of this squeaky clean and found innocent and it's all bogus, then we're back to 50% worked out. Because to me, you can't unretire and go to South Carolina. Like, you can't unretire the jersey and have a guy be a Gamecock to end his career. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to Swanny at all. 803-450-0086. I mean, if you think about it, the guy wearing CJ Spiller's jersey that you unretired it for left to become a Gamecock.
Well, that's the dumbest thing I've heard of.
Yeah, it is. Agreed. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. Again, your Clemson Tigers and the Georgia Bulldogs, in my estimation, neck and neck. For whatever reason, all the experts across the country think there's a gap a mile wide between these two teams. I just don't see it. Now, coming up this weekend, we do have more college football, obviously, because we're stepping into the mix. This past weekend, what we have? Games on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. What we have? 6 consecutive days of college football taking place. How nice was that? Friday night, things get kicked off. Kansas at number 17, Coastal Carolina. The Chanticleers over at Brooks Stadium in Conway going to be hosting the Jayhawks. Remember, Coastal beat Kansas. The last time these two teams faced off, what was that? Was that last year or 2 years ago? I honestly can't remember because of the COVID year. When was that game played? Either way, Coastal Carolina will be hosting Kansas out of the Big 12. Those two teams played a 12-7 score in 2019. So, yeah, they did not play last year. I didn't think so. I thought it was 2 years ago, but it seems like in some respects, it seems so new still. North Carolina A&T's at Duke at 8 o'clock on the ACC Network. By the way, that Coastal game's on ESPN too. North Dakota is at Utah State on CBS Sports Network at 9 o'clock on Friday. And then UTEP at Boise State at 9:30 on Fox Sports 1. So a Friday slate of games. You got 4 games on Friday, including the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers hosting Kansas. How cool is that? Stay with us.
Lawton Swan here. And I know in sports, we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
The new year can often bring big changes, some great and some unpleasant. If you're facing a divorce, consult the full-service legal team at Masella Law. Attorney Robert Masella has over 2 decades of experience fighting to protect his clients' assets and making sure that every detail of their divorce is handled carefully. Don't get overwhelmed by the legalities. Get in touch with Masella Law and get started towards your future.
748-9990. Give us a call or just log on MasellaLaw.com.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan, and when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating. 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today. 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Orangutans. They're beautiful, playful, and majestic, and disappearing. Every day, as many as 20 orangutans vanish. They starve to death when their homes are destroyed, or are killed when they stray into villages in search of food. International Animal Rescue is fighting for the survival of the critically endangered orangutan, but we can't do it without you. Please visit internationalanimalrescue.org and help us save orangutans before it's too late. That's internationalanimalrescue.org.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members, of their families or their children, asking them to deploy, patrol, stay on watch, on point, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to bring them all the way home, to keep them secure, to have their backs for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs do whatever it takes to help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Find out how you can help at findwwp.org.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on the Wednesday, and the absurdity continues. Questions out there. Is Clemson season over? Yep, it's over, guys. Basketball time. Let's turn our attention. I think Brad Brownell and the boys are going to have them a good year. Don't tune in here to hear us talk about Clemson anymore. Not football. Nope. Season's over. You lost. You didn't give up an offensive touchdown. You got beat. It's over. Pack it in, boys. Bring it in, fellas. Good season. See you guys next year for fall camp. How is this a thing? What is wrong with some people out there in the national media? Look, I had to go, I would say mine was it's just if you think that. I did have to, I was talking with the ACC Digital Network, if you saw that today. Sat down with Wes Bryant to talk about it, and there's so much football left to be played. What are we doing? If Ohio State gets beat this weekend by Oregon, are they out? Is that it? How's this work? It's the most absurd thing ever. Again, we were talking about the college football games coming up on Friday. A host of other games that will be taking place coming up this weekend as well, including South Carolina going on the road to East Carolina to take on the Pirates in Greenville, North Carolina, as I said yesterday. But here are some of the games that are upcoming this weekend for you. Illinois at Virginia. That's an 11 o'clock game on ESPN, on the ACC network. Let me make this a little bit bigger for anybody watching if they want to check those out, because then you can just see what you want. That Oregon-Ohio State game is on Fox at noon. What a great kickoff on Fox that game is. South Carolina and East Carolina also at noon. That's going to be on ESPN2. Pittsburgh's at Tennessee, another ACC SEC matchup taking place this weekend. I say this game simply because Jeff Scott's the coach at South Florida, and boy, apparently people are hot and bothered about Jeff Scott down there. Number 13, Florida at South Florida. That's a 1 o'clock start on ABC. You got Texas A&M taking on Colorado, heading out to Mile High Stadium. I heard Jimbo Fisher talking about playing in those conditions. I've been up there. I don't know if you've ever been to Colorado, but I've been to Boulder. And I can tell you, man, the air is thin, and having to make that adjustment, it gets you winded. You go up to Pikes Peak, I guarantee you'll be winded. Fortunately for Texas A&M, that game's not being played at Pikes Peak. It's being played at Empower Field at Mile High Stadium. But nonetheless, still, the air is thin. Trust me on that front. Again, your Clemson Tigers hosting SC State, 5 o'clock on the ACC network. And then you've also got Texas at Arkansas. And again, for the Texas Longhorns, the 15th ranked Longhorns, going up against Arkansas, old school rivalry, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Steve Sarkisian, his career there at Texas, again, one that I think everybody's kind of got their eyes on to see how he does, especially given his offensive prowess throughout his career. But just a host of games coming up this weekend, some really good ones here and there mixed in. But all that being said, man, just checking it out. Can't wait, including maybe even that Stanford and Southern Cal game, 10:30 on Fox, the late night East Coast affair. So I think if you're a fan of college football, man, last weekend delivered the creme de la creme in Clemson and Georgia. But still, got some games to watch this weekend as well. And I think for Coastal Carolina fans, look, I know it's Kansas. I know they're not great. But wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something for Coastal Carolina to win back-to-back games against the Jayhawks? Man, what a huge, huge opportunity. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. That is 24 hours a day. That is 7 days a week. You hit us up, but do this for us before you leave today. As we get out of here, on one side or the other, there's typically it won't be there live, but it will be taped. There's usually a, hey, subscribe button like over this way and a next video button over there. Do me a favor. Go hit that subscribe button. Help us get closer to our goal of 1,000 subscribers by Game 6. I think we can do it much sooner, but we can only do it if you go over there and hit that subscribe. Help us continue to grow. Thank you again for being a part of the program. I hate we couldn't get hooked up with Roddy Jones. The good news is tomorrow we will be able to catch up with our buddy Michael Felder. Always excited to catch up with him. And again, we thank you for being a part of the show that shakes the Southland. Go over to our website right now if you've never been, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. If you hate typing, ClemsonRadio.com will get you there. Go over there. Check that out. Come join us. Help us grow. Just $63.17 to be a part of what we do. That's right. I said it, Gamecock Nation. $63.17.
So you can continue to peek over the fence at the best radio show in the nation.
Come join us, Tiger fans. Help us grow, man. We certainly appreciate it. Again, thank you for being a part of the program. I hope I'm able to steady the seas, calm everybody in Tiger Nation. We'll be back tomorrow. Lots of football left to be played. Until then, as always, y'all take care now and go Tigers.
Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400.